Everybody thinks I'm an idiot. It worked.
This week on At the Movies, Kirsten Dunst, Simon Pegg, and Megan Fox learn how to lose friends and alienate people.
Say hello to my little friends.
Drew Barrymore, George Lopez, and Jamie Lee Curtis join a four-legged cast in the family comedy Beverly Hills, Chihuahua.
If they put you on the spot, we gotta fold a con.
Plus, our favorite films from a Hollywood legend. We will pay tribute to the late Paul Miller.
So you're an actress? I would definitely vote for you for Best Supporting Dress.
I'm sorry, I can't really understand your accent.
This is New York, Sydney. Women only date men who are successful.
I'm gonna be successful.
And tall.
Simon Pegg and Kirsten Dunst are an unlikely couple, to say the least. I'm Ben Lyons from E! Entertainment.
And I'm Ben Mankiewicz from Turner Classic Movies. Romantic comedies are generally not the pinnacle of Hollywood creativity. Don't get me wrong, there are some great ones, but I think we can all concede they can be a bit formulaic. What's really refreshing about How to Lose Friends and Alienate People is that it steers clear of regular romantic comedy cliches. And it's also funny.
What is the greatest film ever made? Have a guess.
La Dolce Vita.
Con Air. It's got everything, hasn't it? You know, you got Malkovich for your acting chops. You got Nicky Cage for your action. Steve Buscemi for your comedy. John Cusack for the gays. Right?
Simon Pegg is Sidney Young, a British reporter who believes you haven't really covered the story unless security escorts you out of the building. Comes to America to work for a glossy celebrity magazine and immediately impresses no one, including another writer, Kirsten Dunst.
Ah, small tango.
I bet you couldn't wait to get out, get anywhere, get all the way to the NYC.
Silence of the Lambs. Don't take this celebrity fluff too seriously.
You arrogant...
Where the movie succeeds is in its sudden right turns, its willingness to kill a dog, always a bold choice, and its consistent emphasis of the comedy over the romance. And Pegg, as Americans are starting to learn, is a talented comedy actor, hardly a stereotypical leading man, and he's just funny enough to make this film a see-it bet.
I'm going to have to go with skip it. I didn't like the romance in this film. The comedy, I agree with you, is great. Simon Pegg is very funny. I did not believe his connection to Kirsten Dunst, which comes together at the end just way too conveniently for me.
It was funny. That's what I look for in a romantic comedy. You know, is it funny? I really don't care much about the romance.
But it's inside Hollywood, but not inside enough for people who do work in the industry to really get excited about it. But it's also alienating, not just the people, like the title says, but alienating to those people who don't know a good publicist joke.
There were some publicist jokes, but everybody in the world knows that they're supposed to laugh at the publicist. Gillian Anderson, I thought, pretty good as the publicist.
Just because you're supposed to laugh doesn't mean you're going to laugh.
No, it's got to be funny.
The way that The Devil Wears Prada really took you inside that world, this didn't have that, and I thought that's the whole premise for the film. Ultimately, this film didn't really have a heart, and for me, romantic comedies, the best ones at least, have a heart. You really care about these characters finding love and connecting.
I don't care about finding love. I don't care about connecting.
You're so cold, Mankiewicz.
No, I want the humor, and I thought there was enough of it because Simon Pegg is good enough, but I hear you.
All right, next movie. Ray Charles, Johnny Cash, George W. Bush. These are dynamic personalities who have lived lives worthy of being immortalized with biopics. Somehow, the story of Bob Kearns, the man who invented the intermittent windshield wiper and sued the big Detroit car companies who stole his idea, has made its way to the big screen with flash of genius. Oscar nominee Greg Kinnear gives a heartfelt performance as Kearns, authentically aging and putting on some weight as the years and years of taking on the Ford Motor Company take their toll on the ambitious inventor. But as he stubbornly continues to fight for justice, his life begins to fall apart.
I always thought I was put here on this earth for a purpose. I thought it was to be an engineer or maybe an inventor, but that's not it, and now I know what it is.
God put you here to sue the Ford Motor Company.
Edwin Armstrong invented the FM radio. Somehow RCA ended up with a patent. He jumped out a 13-story window. This was a good man.
It's a story we feel like we've seen dozens of times before in movies like Aaron Brockovich and North Country. While this sounds like it would be an interesting true story, and it is, it's also a slightly boring one. But this is a family film, and for those not familiar with Kearns' journey, they'll find it educational and mildly entertaining. So, I say rent it just because Kinnear gives it everything he's got.
You're wrong again, Ben. 0 for 2. Would you like to take the show from the top?
Why? What's so special about this one for you?
Well, first of all,
you're saying see it? Is
definitely, I say see it. It's not at all like Aaron Brockovich. It's not at all like any of those sort of cliched movies where we see the end coming. There is depth, there's complexity, there's authenticity to this character. Bob Kearns is not in any way solely a hero. He's very flawed.
The premise is there. It sounds cool to make a biopic about someone you haven't heard of before, someone who invented the windshield wiper. Wow, how can that hold up for 2 hours? And it can't really. It didn't. It's him looking in law books and saying, all right, I'm going to take these guys on.
He gave up his family to fight forward and all that went with it. You're frustrated by this guy during the movie because he's not a typical biopic hero.
I'd rather see something of larger significance or importance or really see his journey the whole way.
Biopics in general are essentially worthless in Hollywood, I find.
I think it's great to transform yourself
many of those
and play somebody from history.
Sure, except Hollywood has a tendency to turn that history around and twist the story. You come out of a biopic and you actually know less than when you went in. Here's a story that stayed fairly true. You can see that it's fairly true because that's how flawed Bob Kearns was.
Sweet film, a family movie, but nothing too special.
No, he did something important that affects all our lives.
Coming up next, some pretentious pups take over Hollywood in Beverly Hills, Chihuahua.
And later, Anne Hathaway gets as far away from The Devil Wears Prada as possible in Rachel Getting Married.
Oh.
I own you? Oh, excuse me while I bravely defend your garden against that dangerous bird. Hey, bird!
That is one hot dog.
Excuse me, ladies! Coming through! Nice legs.
Our next movie is Beverly Hills, Chihuahua. Every dog owner wonders what their dog would sound like if they could talk. But I doubt few living north of the border would assume Buster, Sadie, or Rookie has a Mexican accent. That may change when you see this movie.
Don't you speak any Spanish?
Why would I speak Spanish?
Hello, you're Chihuahua, mija.
Hey, homie. I have never had my teeth brushed before. It's minty.
It's the story of a pampered Chihuahua voiced by Drew Barrymore and her terrifying adventure while lost in Mexico where other dogs... You know what? It doesn't matter what it's about. It's about talking dogs. But it's cute and sweet and funny enough if you're under 10 years old. So if you've got kids and love dogs, go see it. And if you don't love dogs, well, then there's something wrong with you.
There's nothing wrong with me, man. I don't love dogs, and I did not love this movie like you did. I'm going to say skip it. I'm always freaked out by the personification of animals. I don't like watching them talk on screens. I also don't like how they sort of put this Paris Hilton lifestyle up on a pedestal. I think it's something lousy for kids to kind of aspire to.
It was mocked.
It wasn't not mocked. It's glorified. It looks like that's the dream life. And as you said, it doesn't matter what it's about. So I don't really like movies where it doesn't matter what it's about.
I agree with you. In general, I would totally agree with you, but I don't care. First of all, there are plenty of kids' movies where it doesn't matter what it's about.
There's plenty of kids' movies that are really good,
though. First of all, if you want to say what it's about something. It's about a dog's quest to find itself and get itself home.
I also found the film to be a little unsettling, the fact that it kind of reaffirmed a lot of cultural stereotypes. Here the dogs are sneaking across the border. There's a dog fight ring down in Mexico. They have a piñata that they hide from, used from the bad guys.
I think kids will like it. You mentioned actually one of the best parts of the movie when you talk about sneaking the dogs across the border. It's an actual coyote that sneaks the dogs across the border. That's funny stuff. It's dog humor.
It's a bunch of dogs singing.
Kids who like dogs, they'll like this movie. I thought the kids in the theater did like it.
Enough Chihuahua talk for me. Coming up next, music aficionados Michael Cera and Kat Dennings pull an all-nighter in Nick and Norah's Infinite Playlist. The Critics' Roundup renders its verdict.
But first, here's a look at what we'll be reviewing on next week's show.
You didn't realize that they had guns? Was war criminals attached to the trigger?
Look, we'll take the drunk mess home. You kids go find Fluffy, and text us when you do, and we'll meet you there. What could possibly go wrong?
If you touch one hair in her head, I will kill all of you! Norah, I'm being carried! Ow!
Oh, she'll be okay.
Our next movie is Nick and Norah's Infinite Playlist. Set over the course of one night in New York City, Jersey suburbanites Nick and Norah head to the Big Apple in search of a secret concert and find adventure and love in the process. Michael Cera is Nick, and nobody plays Michael Cera better than Michael Cera. Signature zipped-up hooded sweatshirt, mumbling one-liners, and that trademark yet awkward, brilliant comedic timing has catapulted the young star to leading man status, even if it is the anti-leading man that he has come to embody.
What did you see in her? I could floss with that girl.
This is your friend that we're talking about?
Okay, forget it. I can't do this.
Do what?
Just make a U-turn and take me back to Ludlow, all right? I'll find my own way.
Perfect.
I refuse to be the goodie bag at your pity party, Nick.
You don't have to yell. It's on the train station. We're in a tiny car.
After a monster 2007 with hits Superbad and Juno, Sarah may be the most notable name in the young cast, but it's the two leading ladies that are its breakout stars, led by Kat Dennings, who plays Norah, and her best friend, Ari Grainer.
I was with my friend Norah. Usually when I go home with her, she makes me a turkey sandwich when I get home, but I might never get home, you know? Is that a turkey sandwich?
Nick and Norah tries way too hard to stand out and is ultimately its own worst enemy. I would love the film more if the film didn't love itself so much. Sarah and Dennings do have great chemistry, though, and make this simple love story sweet. Younger audiences will be quick to label it a classic for their generation, but it just made me feel old. But I have to say to rent it, that's my take on the film. And now it's time for our new segment, the Critics Roundup. We've invited film experts from around the country to join in on the discussion. Joining us today is Matt Singer from IFC, Tony Senecal, the entertainment reporter from our New York City outlet, WNYW, and Joe Layden, film critic from Variety. Welcome, everybody. Let's start with you, Matt Singer. See it, skip it, or rent it.
Ben, what I think we've got here is some great music in an otherwise forgettable movie, so I say skip it and get the soundtrack instead.
All right, Tony Senecal, your thoughts?
I love 80s classic teen films, and so if you like Say Anything or Valley Girl, I say head to the nerd comedy aisle and rent it.
Last but not least, Joe Layden from Variety. See it, skip it, or rent it.
I'd say it's a sweet teen version of After Hours. It's got a great beat. You can dance to it. You can fall in love to it. I'd say see it.
All right, I'm sure you say see it. I don't know if anybody wants to see you dance, Joe, but let's start with you and let's talk a little bit about Michael Cera as he transforms to a leading man. Talk about where he's at in his career, Joe.
Yes, he is leading man right now, but he's not a traditional leading man. And you have to wonder, as much as I liked him in this film and as much as I liked him in the other films you've mentioned, does he only have a few strings on his bow? I mean, but I don't know what to tell you, how he could change his image. I mean, what should he do? Like play the Peter Lorre role in a remake of M?
Matt Singer, tell me, is he really acting or is he just doing the same thing over and over?
Well, I actually thought he was a little bit different in this movie. You know, he's gotten very good at playing that kind of awkward, horny teenager who's pining for a girl he probably doesn't have any right going out with. In this one, he's the leading man, and he's kind of more of a brooding, artistic type, and I actually felt it didn't really jive with that sort of image. In this case, he's the leading man, and as you mentioned, the more interesting characters are kind of the ones around him, and I was sort of disappointed by him here.
Let's talk about some of the characters around Michael Cera, kicking things off with Kat Dennings. Tony, is this her breakout role?
Oh, she was fantastic. She's like a young John Cusack. She was awesome. She was so likable and funny and real, but I think her best friend, played by Ari, steals the show.
But there's another important woman in this film, Lorene Scafari, who's the scriptwriter. And I think that it's not heavy-handed, it's not something that's obvious, but this is really a movie from a female point of view. There are certain touches, certain elements of the film that I don't think you would see in a teen romance movie that was just, you know, written and directed by an all-male cast of characters.
And is this just an homage to the great John Hughes films, or does this fit in the box set?
For kids today, this will be their kind of John Hughes movies. It made me feel young. It totally made me feel like I was back in high school when we used to like go out with our fake IDs to go see Amy Mann play in Boston. So I related, and I really, really liked it.
Our audience is going to be more excited to see the kids on screen or to listen to the soundtrack.
The problem with the music in the movie, to me, is that we see these characters going to music clubs, exchanging mix CDs. What we never really get is them actually talking about what makes this music special to them. And I thought that authenticity was missing and would have really helped this movie a lot.
All right, that's it for us today. We've got 1 See It, 2 for Rent It, and 1 for Skip It. So overall, we are split, but the consensus seems to be to rent Nick and Norah's Infinite Playlist. Thanks so much, everybody. We'll see you again next week. Coming up, Anne Hathaway is headed for a meltdown in Rachel Getting Married.
Heartbeat, okay.
Let's see if this dog can hunt.
Time to take a look at some movies out now on DVD. Robert Downey Jr. stars as Tony Stark in one of the biggest movies of the summer, Iron Man. Jared Leto packs on the pounds to play the man who killed John Lennon in Chapter 27 alongside Lindsay Lohan. Plus 2 documentaries, Taxi to the Dark Side and Bigger, Stronger, Faster.
Forever. Our next film today takes us to a place full of despair and self-pity without a promise we'll be delivered somewhere better. It's Rachel Getting Married. the story of a recovering addict, played by Anne Hathaway, coming home after a long stint in rehab for her sister's wedding.
Sorry. I have pins all over me.
Yeah, I can feel.
Kim, could you not smoke in here, please?
You look great.
Oh, no, I'm so fat. More rehab makes you fat, is all the vending machines.
No, stop it.
No, you... I would swear to God that you were puking again.
This is completely Anne Hathaway's movie, and she's really brilliant, playing Kim, who in one moment provokes in us profound sympathy, and in the next, frustrating rage. The script is from Jenny Lumet, that's Sydney's daughter, and she makes no effort to make her characters likable in a traditional sense, and her willingness to break convention is one of the best things about the film.
No, everyone in the house is looking at me like I'm the visiting sociopath. I mean, seriously,
I wonder
what do
why.
you expect me to do? Burn the house down? That was a mattress fire. That was not even at home. It was at a sleepover. Okay, you know what? Fine.
Ultimately, and I'm surprised to be saying this, the problem with Rachel getting married lies with director Jonathan Demme. This movie tries to explore a paradox, Anne Hathaway's family's inability to cope with her addiction, and then the celebration of this wedding. But it's that second part that fails here. Even Hathaway's remarkable Oscar-worthy performance can't save it. I am sorry to say, but I say skip it.
How can you say to skip one of the best performances of the year and what I think is one of the best movies of the year?
No, that's
I'm gonna
correct.
have
That
to
is
say,
flat out.
see it.
That is indefensible. One of the best movies of the year.
Absolutely. The film's fantastic. Jonathan Demme's got this documentary background, and he brings it to this film, so it feels like you're at this wedding. And we've all been to weddings with too many toasts. It feels like a real wedding.
And we don't like it, and we want to leave.
Like a Hollywoodized wedding. It's got great character relationships beyond just Anne Hathaway's struggle with her own family to reconnect and be reaccepted, if you will. It's got a great backstory that I'm not going to give away. Rosemary DeWitt is fantastic. A cool cast of characters from Fab Five. Freddie pops up for a cameo in the film. It feels like a real wedding, and it takes me inside this family.
Needs to move along as a movie. Feels like a real wedding, but feels like a wedding you don't want to go to. When I hear 8 straight toasts and have to hear all of them, and then I see, what, 5, 6, 7 musical numbers, this movie meanders and wanders and wanders.
You know what?
Rosemary DeWitt is excellent in those scenes.
As Rachel.
Excellent in her scenes with Anne Hathaway. When it's about the family, when it's about the celebration, separate from Anne Hathaway's storyline, it's a really weak movie.
This performance, I was completely mesmerized by, and have a newfound respect and admiration for her.
Good performance. The rest of the movie doesn't follow along with it.
All right, want to know what you can't miss this weekend? Stay tuned for my 3 to see.
Plus, we'll remember Paul Newman and some of his legendary performances.
You see anything, kid, you let us know.
Closed captioning for At the Movies is sponsored by...
What the world needs now is love, sweet love. No, not just for some.
Whatever you want to say it with a kiss.
Hotel provided by Park Hyatt Chicago. Chicago's award-winning hotel and luxury dining experience, located in the heart of Chicago's Magnificent Mile on Water Tower Square.
All right, time now for my 3 to see, my top 3 things to check out this weekend. At number 3, the new trailer for The Curious Case of Benjamin Button. Some people love watching trailers before a movie premieres, myself included. Others do not. David Fincher directs Brad Pitt, who physically gets younger as he grows older. Is the early Oscar buzz for Pitt justified? Well, we'll find out when the movie opens on Christmas Day. Here's my number 2 pick. It might be a miracle for Spike Lee's Miracle at St. Anna to remain in theaters much longer, as it has not performed well at the box office. So be sure to go see it as soon as you can. At number 1, Rachel getting married. Don't be out of the loop like Mankiewicz come award show season, when the talk around Hollywood centers on the incredible performance from Anne Hathaway and a fantastic film. You liked Chihuahua, but you didn't like this.
This is half a movie, and Chihuahua is for kids. And my 3 to see is exclusively online at themoviestv.com. Okay, recapping the movies on this week's show. I say see How to Lose Friends and Alienate People. Lyons says skip it. I also say see Flash of Genius. Lyons says rent it. We are also split on Beverly Hills Chihuahua. I say see it if you have kids and a soul.
Just say see it.
Ben says skip it. And another split for Rachel getting married. I say skip it. And Lyons not only says see it, it's in his top 3. The Critics Roundup is split down the middle on Nick and Norah's Infinite playlist. The consensus, though, is rent it. Last weekend, the world lost legendary actor and humanitarian Paul Newman after his long battle with cancer. Newman was a true movie star, and behind those legendary blue eyes, Ben, this was a man, as we know, of really great merit.
Yeah, I encourage all young people out there to go back and watch some of his earlier films. If I had to pick one Paul Newman movie as my personal favorite, for me, I love The Sting. Set in 1930 Chicago, he teams up with Robert Redford to pull off a long con. The film won 7 Oscars, none for Newman, but a tremendous film and a great performance as always.
Yeah, you know, the first movie I ever loved was the other Redford, George Roy Hill, Newman collaboration, Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. But I find myself thinking most after Newman died about Nobody's Fool, 1994. Newman coming back and playing an older character, a flawed, layered older character.
A true legend of the screen if there ever was one. Ben and I will be reflecting on Newman's career in more depth on our website at themoviestv.com. That's it for this week.
We'll leave you with a look at some of our favorite scenes from Paul Newman films. And until next week, we'll be at the movies.
Tough luck, Ron Hand. Then you jump first.
No, I said.
What's the matter with you?
I can't swim!
Wasteful. Washable. The reusable, machine washable Wonder Mop. Only from Libman.
Desmond, the doctor will see you now.
It's Fruit Crepe Fever. Sweet cream cheese, luscious fruit, and delectable crepes. Only at IHOP. Come hungry, leave happy.
A beautiful princess, a heroic prince, and a wicked dragon. Disney's classic adventure, Sleeping Beauty. Rated G. New on Platinum DVD and Blu-ray, October 7th.
Snore Stop, proven effective to stop or reduce the symptoms of snoring. Available in spray and tablets at a store near you. Snore Stop, it works.